Hello everybody, welcome to the Canadian Food and Wine Institute at Niagara College, Canada, Glendale campus. Beautiful campus here. Beautiful day, getting warmed up a little bit. My name is Chef Dan LeBlanc. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a chili demo for you guys and try and talk about a little bit of some different sort of alternatives as well too in regards to the meats you can use for chili and different sort of vegetables you can use and things like that. And we'll go over a little bit of kitchen safety as well too, and we'll also talk about some budget sort of conscious meals that you can kind of substitute and utilize in your daily sort of weekly planning for food as well. Okay, as I stated before, my name is Chef Dan LeBlanc. I'm a chef by trade. I've been at the college for in and around 12 years, been in the industry for roughly 30 years. You know, it's been a very rewarding sort of path for me. You know, it's taught me a lot of life lessons as well too. I'm a father of two boys, so not only has it taught me to cook, but you know, it's taught me how to budget, how to time management and things like that. So it's a very, I believe it's a very rewarding experience and a very rewarding career to kind of get involved in myself, for sure. So today, first things first, I have a couple things on the stove here on the go for you guys. In the middle here, what I'm stirring, I have a nice little pot of ground beef and onions. You can probably see that. That's the start of my chili. I'm using a medium ground beef. And I've simply just browned it, and I've drained off a little bit of excess grease as well too. Keep in mind, if you're using like a medium ground beef, you don't really need to drain off any extra fat because you're gonna kind of need that anyways to help saute the rest of your vegetables in there. In this other pot right here, I have the beginning of a vegetable chili. So not only you need to put meat in your chili, but you can also do a vegetarian version as well too, with a bunch of different options inside there for if you're trying to stay away from your meat products for different sort of reasons. So in this pot, all I have is a little bit of onion and some celery. I've kind of just browned up to kind of develop the flavor there. The more you kind of brown those onions and caramelize them in the pot, the more sort of flavor develops, a deeper sort of flavor. So that's what I've done there. In that instance, in this one pot over here, this larger pot, you can see a start of a nice little tomato sauce I'm going to make for you guys as well too. Okay, and on the back here, this one is going to be the start of a chana masala, it's called. So basically a chickpea and tomato sort of curry. Okay, so there's lots of different options if you're trying to avoid meat products for any sort of variety of reasons. I know myself, I was on a plant-based diet for roughly about almost a year. You know, it was pretty good. I lost a little bit of weight, and it kind of felt a little bit better as well too, right? So different sort of options. Another sort of option, if you're switching to the vegetarian or vegan kind of diet, is this product here. It's called tempeh. I don't know if anybody has seen tempeh before, but tempeh is basically a fermented soybean processed into a cake form. Right, and then they inoculate it with a certain fungus, a mold, and then you can use that for vegetarian cooking. It's kind of like a cake like that. This can be deep fried, it can be sautéed, it can be used in a variety of different methods as well, for sure too. So it's a very good product, high in protein, and other things like that. As well for our meat chili, there's different sort of meats you can use too. Don't necessarily think you have to use ground beef all the time. You can use ground turkey. You can use ground chicken. You can use lots of different things. There's a product out there if you don't want to use meat. It's called TVP, Textured Vegetable Protein. It's a pure protein. Has a lot of amino acids that our body needs. It's basically what you do with the TVP is you kind of reconstitute it in water or any sort of stock, like a vegetable stock, and it kind of almost mimics ground beef. So if you're looking for that texture, you can use that. And also, I'm sure you probably know in the grocery stores, a lot of places sell the vegan meat, like the meat substitute as well too. That's a pretty good product. Can get a little bit pricey though, to be honest with you. But it's a good product. You can get different sort of flavor profiles as well too, like an Italian one, a Southwestern one, and all these different sort of products as well. So for our vegetarian chili, keep in mind the meat, so you're gonna have to add some sort of protein to it. But what we have here is we have a lot of different varieties of beans. I have some white beans here, some black-eyed peas, some lentils. What else? I have some chickpeas. So different sort of proteins you can put in there as well too to get that protein in your vegetarian diet for sure. Okay. So what I'm going to do actually now with our vegetarian curry, my onions and celery are nice. I'm going to add a little bit of red pepper here. Okay. To kind of get that going, and I simply have all my vegetables chopped up here, diced up. Okay. I kind of like to keep mine more bite-sized pieces, but you can kind of play around with that and put whatever size you want in there. Okay. Have some carrots. Okay. Some people think, oh, carrots and chili, but at home, a lot of times I'll put carrots in my chili and stuff like that. My wife usually puts carrots in her chili too. Right. Okay. My onions are coming along nice. My ground beef is coming along nice. My onions for my tomato sauce are coming along nice as well too. And if you notice, my onions for my chana masala, they're nice and golden brown, which kind of develops that flavor, which is good. Okay? So my beef is nice and browned here. What I'm going to start to add some spices to this. Typical chili, you may kind of see chili powder in there, a bunch of other things, maybe some cumin, salt and pepper. But you can put a lot of different things in there if you like. It's kind of a whatever flavor profile you kind of want to make it. But those are the ones you traditionally kind of see in there. Okay. So I have a little bit of chili powder. Actually, this is like an ancho chili powder. Okay, so different sort of flavor profile there. All right. This is our chili powder here. Okay. And you can buy these things at the bulk barn, or you can buy them at the grocery store. It's probably a little bit better to buy them in bulk. It's maybe a little bit more cost effective than if you're going to buy them in the smaller little packages. My son went to the store last week and bought garlic for me, and it was like almost $10 for a little bottle of garlic. So like garlic powder, right? Now I'm putting a little bit of cumin in there. Love to add a little bit of cumin to my chili as well. You can add these same spices to the vegetarian one as well. Okay, they'll kind of go well together. Okay, I'm adding simply all those guys there. I'll be adding roughly, for the amount I have here, roughly about a tablespoon. Okay, of each for now. And then as I cook it, I kind of usually taste it and see if I need to add a little bit more, depending on the flavor profile I want. Ground beef, I roughly have about a pound of ground beef in here. And I'm sure all of you know ground beef in the stores in and around, it kind of can vary sometimes. I think right now it's around $3 a pound. Could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less sometimes. My advice would be, whenever you see ground beef on sale, it would be a good idea to kind of buy it, right? And you can make large batches of chili like this, or tomato sauce, or different sort of things, and you can freeze them down, right? It's always a good idea to kind of maybe plan ahead, and you can plan some meals that way, and once you have a large batch of chili, cool it down properly, and you can simply just freeze it and then pull it out when you want to eat it, right? Okay. That's one thing when you go shopping. It's always good to kind of plan, maybe even like a week ahead would be a good idea, right? Have a list and do a plan of when you go shopping, you can get all the ingredients that you need, and plan out your week, let's say. And a lot of things, what you should maybe consider would be planning your weeks so they kind of blend in with each other, let's say, like day by day, right? So let's say one day I'm having chili, maybe your next day, your day 2, you're gonna maybe use the chili for something else as well too, right? And then so on and so on, right? So it's kind of good to utilize product that way. And you have to kind of create a little bit of excitement. You don't want to be eating chili all day. In my chana masala here, I threw in a little bit of chopped up ginger as well too. This one has kind of like a little bit of an Indian sort of flair, all right? My chili, I put my celery in there as well too, okay? Vegetarian chili is coming along nicely. Just gotta watch this cord here, okay? I may put a little bit of salt and pepper in there as well too. Whenever I'm cooking, I kind of like to taste things as I go, right? Watch that, my onions are getting along really good for my tomato sauce, okay? Keep in mind, these are just some basic sort of recipes I'm showing, a basic chili, a basic sort of vegetarian chili, but there are some other options that you can use as well too for if you're on a little bit of a tighter sort of budget to kind of like stretch your money a little bit. Soup is always a good one. Pasta is always good. Pasta is always usually kind of nice and cheap. I was actually at the store a couple days ago, and I bought, it was on sale for 99 cents for bags of pasta, right? So I bought some penne, I bought some spaghetti, linguine, things like that, right? Now I'm simply going to add some peppers to my chili over here, my meat chili. Okay, right. As well for my tomato sauce. Now I'm making what you can do regular old red tomato sauce. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to incorporate some mushrooms to kind of make it like to mimic ground beef. We can call it like a tomato. I mean not tomato. A mushroom bolognese instead of like a meat bolognese. Okay. So we'll just stir those on, stir them up, and get those mushrooms kind of cooking. Keep in mind they're going to sweat out a little bit. You're going to get a lot of moisture in there. Okay. Bay leaf, I'll put a bay leaf in that sauce as well too. Keep in mind bay leaves. Bay leaves are going to add a lot of flavor to your cooking. You can simply throw them in there. Just remember, keep an eye out when you're going to serve things. You might want to take them out and remember how many you put in there. Or you can simply tie them in a little bit of cheesecloth, like a little bit of cooking cheesecloth, and you can pluck them out afterwards. Right? Okay. Veggie chili's going along really good, really well. Okay. Next, I'm going to incorporate some beans. Actually, for my veggie one here, I have some lentils. These are all canned products. So a couple little spoonfuls of lentils here. All right. We'll put some white beans in there, so some white kidney beans. Okay, these are all simply canned, and I've just drained them. Okay, all right. So my ground beef one's coming along nice as well too. Okay, all right. Make sure you kind of clean as you go. Okay. I'm gonna put some of these black-eyed peas in here as well too. All right. And the traditional one, like we usually see, right? We'll put some kidney beans in there, some red kidney beans, okay? I'm actually going to throw some in my regular chili right now as well too, okay? Keep in mind you can kind of put as many as you want in there. And I don't know if you know this, but traditional chili really doesn't have any beans in it. Usually traditional chili is usually always just ground meat, onions, and your spice seasoning that you put in there. So basically your chili powder and your they might put garlic powder in there and different sort of things like that, and probably cayenne. Right, you kind of make your own blend for sure. Okay. So we have a nice little base there. What I'm going to do next. Okay. Have my mushrooms going still too. Okay. Getting all nice and brown there. Okay. With those onions. Okay. I'm going to add some tomatoes. Actually, I'm going to add some garlic first as well too. I don't know if you guys have one of these little garlic presses, a little sort of nifty little tool, little handy sort of things. If you're not good at chopping, right? That takes a little bit of practice. You can just squish all that garlic out. It's perfect. Okay. I just peel that and basically just squish it out. I'll only put 2 in this one, but keep in mind if you like more garlic, you can always add a little bit more. Okay. For my vegetarian chili, I'm going to make this one with a little bit of granulated garlic, okay, or garlic powder. Okay. Keep in mind you can use this stuff as well too, the powdered version or the fresh. Fresh is always better for sure, but you know, if you don't have the fresh around and you have some garlic powder, and keep in mind you can put as much as you like in there. It all depends on your personal preference, right? I'm going to throw some of this garlic powder as well into my mushroom ragu over there. Okay. Just 1 little teaspoon, kind of more like a tablespoon, but that's okay. We'll put that in there, get that going. Now for our tomatoes, this is just a canned tomato that I've simply crushed with my hands. Okay, but you can buy a crushed tomato as well too. Okay, and we're just going to throw maybe 16 ounces or so of tomatoes in there, a little bit more, okay? And some vegetable stock. Now this is just a vegetable base product that we have, but keep in mind you could make your own vegetable stock if you like. All the little leftover ends from when you're peeling carrots, as long as there's no roots, and onion, things like onions and stuff like that, and little bits of celery that you use. I wouldn't throw those out because you can utilize all of those for sure when you're cooking, right? It's always good to kind of make some nice fresh stock, okay? So we're gonna turn that up and kind of bring it to a simmer. And that's roughly gonna cook for, I don't know, an hour or so, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how you like it, what consistency you like. And keep in mind throughout the whole process, it would be nice if you kind of tasted it, just to make sure that you're good with the flavor of it. Okay, you can always add a little bit more salt. You can always add a little bit more pepper. I would just be careful seasoning it all up right now to where you want it, because what's going to happen is this is going to reduce and it's going to cook down and the flavors are going to intensify. And then you might end up with a salty product. So that's why it's not really that good to kind of season all at once at the beginning, okay? So our meat chili here, I'm gonna add some beef stock to that one, since we're cooking with beef. Okay, we're just gonna add a simple beef stock to that. Now if this was ground turkey or ground chicken, you would add a chicken stock or a turkey stock would be good, okay? Simply just, I'm gonna add enough to kind of moisten the meat, right? Maybe again about 16 ounces or so. Okay, this is like a 6-ounce ladle, so like it's 18 ounces, almost 20, almost a liter of stock. And that's going to kind of reduce down. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one as well too. I'm going to add some tomatoes to it. Okay, and we'll bring that to a simmer, and we'll let it cook. Okay. One other thing we should really talk about too is a little bit of kitchen food safety for sure. Whenever you're cooking at home, it's always good to kind of be well prepared, work nice and clean if you can for sure. Wiping down counters after you've used, scrubbing them down with soap and water after you've used raw product like raw meats, raw chicken, raw turkey, raw beef, things like that, and sanitize stations afterwards. Especially right now during COVID, sanitizing and cleaning is really important as well too, right? But not only that, food safety for sure is very important, especially even when you're storing product as well too. In your fridge, let's say you have raw meats, raw chicken, things like that, you always want to kind of store them below any sort of cooked products, okay? That way any sort of juices can't leak down onto them, which you do not want, okay? You don't want that cross-contamination. And let's say when these products are done cooking, I'm going to try and cool these down as fast as I can. Maybe you could transfer them to 2 containers so it's a little bit less volume in a pot like this. Cool them down as fast as you can in the fridge, and then you should be good. You always want to try and cool things down as fast as you can. So our chana masala here, I'm just going to throw some of these chickpeas in here, okay? Get those guys going. And keep in mind when you're going to eat these products again, let's say you're going to eat them the next day, it's always important to heat them up properly as well too. You want to go above that 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius. I don't know if you know what your danger zone is, but a danger zone is a zone of temperature where if things are in that zone for too long, bacteria can grow and stuff like that. It's not very good. So that danger zone is 4 degrees Celsius, 40 and 40. Or 40 and 60, I call it 4 and 60, or 40 and 140 Fahrenheit. So 4 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius, or 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so it's important to mind those danger zones. Okay, because you don't want that bacteria to grow. You don't want to get sick. Okay. And another thing too, when we're talking about cross-contamination, like I said too, it would be good to use different sort of maybe utensils for different sort of products. If you're using meats, raw meats, you don't want to cross-contaminate into products that you're going to eat and things like that. And internal temperatures as well too, if you're cooking. Those are important to remember as well too. Let's say you're cooking chicken, you need to make sure you bring that chicken up to 165 degrees, proper sort of internal temperatures, above that 140 degrees Fahrenheit for sure. You need to be careful, okay? And a clean kitchen definitely is very important, okay? These guys are coming along nicely. They need a little bit more time to kind of cook down for sure, at least an hour. So I hope you enjoyed this video and these meals, you know. Really good ideas for you to kind of think about for when you're developing your weekly meal sort of plans. Okay, I just simply threw some tomatoes in my mushroom ragu as well too, and I'll throw some dried spices, oregano, basil, and I'll just let that cook down as well for about an hour or so, and we should be good. Chana masala, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add some tomatoes to that one as well too. And I'll add some of my spices that I use for the chili. I'll add some coriander, some ground cumin, things like that. Okay, some garlic powder. All right, well, let's stir those guys all up. And we'll add some ginger to this. Maybe a little bit more if the flavor profile is not there. And keep in mind, we're going to season these guys up as well too after the cooking process a little bit. Okay. One other thing, a little bit of hint for your chili maybe sometimes what I do, I'll put a little bit of brown sugar in my chili sometimes, okay? Adds a little bit of sweetness to it. Sometimes the tomatoes can be a little bit bitter, a little bit tart, let's say. A little bit of brown sugar kind of helps to offset that, all right, which is really nice. Just be careful you don't put too much in because then it can get really, really sweet. That's the problem with that. But so you just need to be careful. That's why it's important to kind of taste as you go. All right, hope you enjoyed this video.